Change Radio. Change Radio. Change Radio.
Regandi tange noti makadini kumati mana Thank you so much. Everyone. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining Change Radio. DJ Prof speaking here. I am live. We are live on Change Radio and different platforms. Our YouTube channel. We are live on our Facebook, and we are live on other social platforms here today. Welcome everyone. Nokuti makadini kumati mana ose kwa muri tichiti tripano pa Change Radio patichange tichikutapurira chirongwa nhasi tichikupai zvanga zvichiitika musvondo rapera svondo rese rapfuura kana kuti mazuva mazhinji apfuura muZimbabwe. Ndisingakanganise ndisingapedzi nguva ndikanditi lichona njani vahla vezulu kunjani kona ngale indawo zonke singave zikuzo silana ku Change Radio nizohamba no DJ Prof kunye no Mr. Karasa sangana nevanhu.
Hello viewers, thank you for having me in this program on Change Radio Zimbabwe.
Thank you so much. So like zvandambotaura kuti ndichange ndifamba namukoma Karasa panapa tichitaura nyaya dziri kuitika muZimbabwe, dzimwe tichidzipenengura kuti tikuzivisei kuti zvii zviri kuitika. Munoziva pane zviri kuitika zvakasiyana siyana munyika yeZimbabwe, kubva kune zvematongerwo enyika tikupinda kune matare edzimhosva, tigofamba zvakare tikupinda mune zveupfumi, tigopinda zvakare nenyaya dzakasiyana siyana tinenge tichidzitaura panapa namukoma wangu Karasa. Semazuva ese paChange Radio tinoti kune vanenge vachikomenda macomments, musaregera zvenyu kumwaya macomments, tipei macomments nemibvunzo yamunenge muinayo tipei kuinbox, munongokomenda then toona kuti tingabetserana sei zuva ranhasi. So now let's start with the issue of the continued persecution of Honorable Timba, and it started as the famous 78 up until 78. Now I think they've reduced it to age 68, but not reduced in a sense that or the other people have been removed, but in a sense that there were few people who got bail on different conditions, but Senator Jameson Timba and others, they are still languishing in prison after their arrest on the 16th of June, when they were celebrating, or actually when they convened to celebrate the Day of the African Child. The unfortunate part is that Senator Timba, who is still with these people, his crime is only that the people who assembled, they wanted to have it's purported that they wanted to have a braai meeting at his house, and by the time that the police pounced in his house, he was not even there. When he was called to come and meet the people, he was also arrested. So he's still also languishing in Chigurubi prison there with others, without any without any persecution, but still remain in remand. Mr. Karasa, can you come here and just shed your light with regards to this? How do you see this, and how do you see this continuously persecution of Zimbabwe with the courts or with the rulings ZANU-PF?
Yeah, I think this is the unfortunate incidents in Zimbabwe, whereby in this 21st century we see the regime, the authorities in Zimbabwe are still persecuting dissent voices. as you are aware, viewers, that Mr. Jameson Timba and other activists were just gathering at a private property, and they were arrested by the police and they were tortured, which is the violating of human rights, because we expect if people are arrested or are in the hands of the police, they are in the safe hands. They were not supposed to be tortured, beaten. But in this instance, the activists were butchered by the police, and they were detained, and they were still incarcerated in Chikurubi maximum prison. They were deprived of their right of freedom of bail, because every person who is being arrested and the process who is arrested must be given bail. But in this situation, you find out our courts, our judicial officers, they are reluctant to give those activists bail. It shows that this is not the issue of law, but it's the issue of prosecution by persecution. Our judiciary, our courts are used by the regime to torture innocent, decent voices, people who are suspected to be aligned to the, especially to Nelson Chamisa, because he's the one who is popular in Zimbabwe, is the one people in Zimbabwe voted in 2023. So Jameson Timba and the other 66 members of Triple C are incarcerated because of their loyal to the Democrats leader, the advocate Chamisa. The unfortunate thing, you find out, even they were arrested, there was one of the young girls who was incarcerated until the people of Zimbabwe raised their voices on social medias, on different platforms, and other organizations raised their voices. Then the courts started to investigate. This shows that when those people were arrested, there was no investigation which was done by the police, but it was just an instruction from the authorities to arrest and persecute those people. Because if you arrest a person, before the person is brought to court, the investigation officer take details of the arrested or the suspect, including the age, residential address, and your occupation. But if you look at the case of Nico Chabata, you find out the investigation officer on the occupation, the girl told him, I'm a student, but they keep on putting in prison. So we are very worried about the abuse of the judiciary in Zimbabwe. We are also worried about the effects based on our history. We find out political activists who are detained and incarcerated by the authorities, their health will be compromised. You find out some of the people, they come out from those prisons or detentions with some chronic ailments like cancer. We have got people who have been incarcerated for a long time, and when they were released, they didn't live for long. Some of them, they were already dead because of of cancer. We have several, including my father, was also incarcerated. In 2 years, he was diagnosed with cancer. We have got Morgan Sangrai. He was incarcerated for a long period. After he came out, he was diagnosed with the cancer. We have also the issue even of Jacobo. Jacobo, you find out he was incarcerated. Fortunate enough, he went outside the country to seek treatment. So we are very worried about the health of those people. We are worried about their freedom, their health. We seek justice from the authorities. We urge the authorities to stop such violation of human rights.
Mm-mm. Mm. Thank you so much for weighing in on that. And it's an unfortunate situation in Zimbabwe where the judiciary is used by a political party to do unethical, if I would put that word, um, uh, unlawful things that they are practicing, particularly on the especially on the people of the or the supporters or people that are purported to be supporters of the opposition. Oh yes, you also mentioned that uh, a schoolgirl, Nicole Chabata, was recently released because she was also arrested with others after spending almost 2 months, 2.5 months in prison. Um, she was supposed to be released, and she was also supposed to write her, um, O level examinations, which a lot of time for her to study was taken by the state that says also that has to protect the rights of the girl child. And unfortunately, this happens that Nicole Chabata was released, but she was not even supposed to be arrested at all because she was one of the children that just went there to go and celebrate the day because she's a young person. 16 June worldwide, I mean, Africa wide is celebrated as the day of the African child. So as a child also, and she was you know um incarcerated, yes, for 3 months in prison, and now she has been released. I hope, and I'm sure that I hope she's getting support, that she necessary support that she must get, because a lot of time has been spent in prison, and she needed that time to prepare for the exam. And for those one, and majority of you, we have got children that have gone through form 4 O level, I mean, examinations. You know how tough, or how much a time wasted is precious to her examination preparation. So in that case, it leads us to the next topic that we are going to look at, Mr. Karasa. We just want to speak on the issue of Emerson Mnangagwa snapping the United Nations conference amid the report, or amid the claim that zvinhu hazvina kumira zvakanaka, kutwa izinto zijikile paZanu PF. So Mr. Karaza, utinita.
Yeah, this is the one of the few conferences where you find the AG not attending. It shows that there is something happening behind the scenes. As you know, there's no smoke without fire. It shows that in the cockpit between the President Emerson Mnangagwa and his Vice President, there is infighting between them. In fact, the infighting started long back, but at this point, present moment in time, it's now at the tipping boiling point. As you find out, previously, after the coup, the two gentlemen always attend most of the events, even smaller events. They attended together. But you find out in the previous 1 or 2 weeks, you find out there was a field day, the pre-cap farm, the farm owned by the president, Emerson Mnangagwa, where most of the cabinet meeting attended the event, the field day. Almost the government business was closed. but surprisingly, the vice president was not at the field day. You also find out last Sunday there was the event organized by the ZANU-PF Youth League called Mutapa's Day, where they were celebrated the birthday of the president. It was an important event in the cycle of ZANU-PF structures. Unfortunately, the vice president was not at the event. Instead, the president went to Blawayo to attend a church service. And there was an incident that happened when there was an accident of an helicopter, although no one knows who was supposed to be carried on that helicopter. But it's an unfortunate incident that there is infighting in ZANU-PF due to 2030 vamunangagwa vanenge vachiripo spearheaded by ZANU-PF Youth League. If you recall, after the coup, Mnangagwa and EG were close friends, close comrades. They worked together, even when they formed their so-called government after the overthrown Robert Mugabe. You see, the first cabinet included some of the members of the Zimbabwe, former members of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces, like Sibusiso Moyo, Perenzi Shiri, and others. But you see it seems the deal collapsed, because as you look, the cabinet as we stand, there is no active members of the defense forces. And even in the ZANU-PF hierarchy, there was the position of political commissar in the ruling party was held by Engelbert Rugeje, who was a former senior member of defense forces, but he was booted out and given a junior position. That is when the EG was started to sideline Vice President Chiwenga. Even in 2018, the president repealed the statutory instrument 96 of 2028, which had been designed a vice president with the powers to oversee the defense and all veterans. But that section of law was repealed, and it was believed that the president or the vice president was weakened. And even if you see, even in the structures of the party, their party, the president has got other party structures outside the party. Those EG, pastors for EG, youth for EG, wind for EG. Those are structures which were designed to weaken the vice president, so that you will not be the next candidate for the ruling party in the 2020 elections, 2028 elections, because the president wanted to build a dynasty, and he wanted to stay on power for forever. So that's why he have got some youth which he is sending around the country to campaign for ED 2030 vachiripo. And that program was assisted by the other organizations or other people who are recruited to support ED 20 Vision 2030, like the Chabangu debacle. When you find Chabangu is sponsored by the government to take over the people's movement, Citizen for Coalition for Change. And the main aim was for him to help EG to amend the constitution so the section of term limit will be aborted, and the president will be in power until 2030 or after 2030. So you find out Chabangu and his team, they are used as a whip to beat Chiwenga ideas or Chiwenga sentence to the president. Chabangu is used to attack indirectly. And if you find out when we are talking about politics as we speak in ZANU-PF, Chabangu has got more power than the vice president, because Chabangu is part of ZANU-PF. So Chabangu has more political power was in ZANU-PF because he decide who will be the next vice president, or he will deny the vice president to become a candidate next election. So Chabangu and his team is part of ZANU-PF. So unfortunately, it's too late for the vice president to act for now. He's finished. And the ZANU-PF youth see the vice president as a living statue, because they know he has got no power as we speak. Everything is under Mnangagwa dynasty, and Mnangagwa is in control of each and every structure. And if you see last week, the ZANU-PF national chairman had said in the next ZANU-PF conference, they were going to reduce the number of delegates. So it's one of the things that you find out that they were trying to clip the powers of vice president. So yeah, there's infighting in ZANU-PF. And as soon as possible, we will see what will happen, and the truth will come out.
Thank you. Wow, wow. So a mouthful word pregnant with wisdom. Thank you so much, Mr. Karas. I think you have shared indeed that there is a problem in ZANU-PF, and you articulated a number of things that can give us a line, or can give us a clue in regards to what is really happening in ZANU-PF, and what I mean the events are unfolding. Obviously we know that it's not only in addition to what you have just said now. Majority of the generals that were involved in the coup of 2017 November, majority of them have been dying mysteriously, or have been dying. One would wonder, and one would want to question, is it because of old age? But why are they dying in a linear pattern like that, one after the other? And we realize that a majority of them have been dealt with during that time of of the coup, because if they let Mnangagwa if they let the unlet being living, Mnangagwa's dynasty, like you said, will be compromised and will be challenged. We have seen already Mnangagwa's son is the general at the army now, on the presidential guard, and you have seen that the other one, without having any experience of financing, of finance, is given the portfolio of deputizing the minister of finance in the country. So in other words, if the minister of finance is not there, he is the minister of finance. The economy cannot be run, the economy cannot be run in that way. So that's the situation that is happening in Zimbabwe. And indeed, aiwa pachishona vanoti hanzi zvinhu zvakamira manyama amire nerongo kubato reZANU-PF. And we have seen a number of people talking about even the 2030 vision, even though Mnangagwa has come out to say no. He is a constitutionalist, which is not. Obviously everyone knows that that is going to stay, or is going to leave power when the time is due, that is on the in 2028, when his term of office ends. and he even rubber stamped it by saying he knows the date that when he is going to leave the the hinges of power, which we know anzi tinotenda dzanwa dzasura nebenzi. That's the position where we are now with Mnangagwa. We only agree with him the time or the day that is going to leave office, because you have learned the tactics from Robert Mugabe at the time that he was also in power. So, Mr. Karaza, I think our time though, but what I would want to do with you is that we would try to shorten our our points, so that we will be able to to cut through some other topics that our viewers and listeners might want to to hear from us. So that brings us to the to the darling of the country. If I'm talking about the darling of the country, majority of you people who I'm talking about. Let's talk about the story of President Nelson Chamisa. The Zimbabweans are rallying behind his leadership. So I mean, the majority of the people are saying, if the election are going to be done today, a majority are going to vote Advocate Nelson Chamisa for his leadership. And he has been already exonerated from why he left the Triple C, because of the number of things that are happening. And we can see that ZANU-PF was in this. We saw Chabangu trying to play a gimmick to say he has fired all the leadership, that include Washburn Ncube, but people knows kuti muridzi wembwa ndiani, because ndiye abuda panze because imbwa yarowa. We know kuti that Prof Ncube play a very big role, and if not a role, he was part and parcel of that recalling of MPs were elected by people under the banner of Triple C in the leadership of President Nelson Chamisa. But now the Zimbabweans from all walks of life are saying we are still rallying behind the leadership of Advocate Nelson Chamisa. Mr. Karaza, what can you say?
Yeah. The people of Zimbabwe, they know who they voted for in 2023. As we speak, Advocate Nelson Chamisa is the hope of all Zimbabwean people from all walks of life. They are still waiting for President Nelson Chamisa to lead them, because he's the only source of hope. Because people are suffering in Zimbabwe. The regime, they only managed to steal the elections. They only managed to instill fear to the people and to squash all the democracy institutions in Zimbabwe. So people, they have they've got confidence in President Nelson Chamisa, even when he left the Triple C, when it was infiltrated by the ZANU-PF regime led by Shengezo Chabangu, assisted by the judiciary and the other government arms. The people of Zimbabwe, they still have confidence that President Advocate Nelson Chamisa is the only person who has got the solution to address the social challenges that is affecting the Zimbabwean population, like the unemployment rate. There is corruption in the country. There is the health crisis in Zimbabwe. There is no freedom and justice in Zimbabwe. There is a lot of things that is happening in Zimbabwe. People are suffering. The government is not, the present government is not addressing any issue, but they are promoting corruption, and no one is being arrested of corruption. Instead, they were promoted into the in the structures of the ruling party. So people, even in the village, in the rural areas, mothers, all the grandfathers and grandmothers, youth, they were they are rallying behind Nelson Chamisa to come and lead them. They were waiting for the leader, Advocate Nelson Chamisa, as they are Moses who will lead them from the oppression, from the bondage of oppression of the present regime. So people, they were still behind President Chamisa, even, all over Zimbabwe, from Mbushu, Masvingo, Mutare, Chimanimani, Cholocho, Shabalala, even Zimbabweans in the diaspora, they are also behind Chamisa, and we will keep on supporting him.
Wow. Yes. Thank you so much. Indeed, people of Zimbabwe all everywhere across the world are still having hope in the leadership of Advocate Nelson Chamisa. And this one, Mr. Karas, I can confirm with you that in addition, if you even go to the social media, go on X, formerly Twitter, go on, there are still even WhatsApp groups that are still stating Nelson Chamisa as a leader. We have got WhatsApp groups that are saying, Chamisa followers, the generation change with Chamisa, Chamisa Wenyuchi, visionary youth for Chamisa, and we've got provincial groups like Mashonaland Central Province for Chamisa, Mashonaland East Province for Chamisa, and we've got even the diaspora for Chamisa. We've got, South Africa for there are a number of groups that are still functional and are still talking about the leadership of Advocate Nelson Chamisa, and I think people have understood very well, and they've get his info. I mean, his announcement very clearly, that he stated that he has left Triple C, but he hasn't left politics. So in other words, he was saying, and he said that he is going to come back into politics, but not in the banner of Triple C, which people are saying we are waiting for that. And Mr. Karas, I can also confirm that I've seen a number of people, even someone was saying, he said it on his Facebook, I think 3 days ago, was saying that even Chamisa asina party, iyo party asina yacho ndo party yangu iyo. In other words, he
Yeah,
was saying
sure.
Chamisa, he doesn't have a party, but even Chamisa doesn't have a party. That one that he doesn't have is my party. So you get that people have invested, his quality of leadership to them, to say, look, this guy or this man is the only one who can take us to the promised land. And I can confirm with you that only the leadership of Advocate Nelson Chamisa is the one that can take us to the promised land. As you can see, the situation in Zimbabwe now is that the Zimbabweans are in a really dire situation, and economically and politically situation are really needed. You can follow even Advocate Fazai Mayere's tweet, or sorry, and X, formerly is Twitter space. She always, whenever she's putting a statement, always telling that we need new leaders, because that is Zimbabwe. It's being run on a pilot, on a pilot program. So in other words, we do not have leadership in Zimbabwe. That will lead us again maybe to the, if not last topic that we want to look at Mr. Karasa. We want to talk about the economic situation in Zimbabwe, but specifically speaking about the issue of the ZIG. The ZIG is at free fall, and takamboudzwa kuti hanzi izvoni mari iri kubhekwa negold. In other words, the money, the ZIG money, is being backed by gold, and this is the first time. And economists came out and said, we have been told a number of things, and this is the 60th currency that we have been using in Zimbabwe, from bond notes, from bond coin, from time of the bearer checks until now. We have been told different sort of stories, but now we are into this now. Can you speak to us about what do you think about this zig, Mr. Karaza, about this zig and the mantra that has been said that is backed by gold, and also is the strongest current. It was deemed to be the strongest current in SADC. I don't know if they knew that there was a rand. I don't know if they knew that there was a puller, but they also say the ZANU PF Barakas were saying that it's the strongest current in Southern African, but the strongest current in SADC, but it's not even used anywhere. It's only used in Zimbabwe. What's your comment on that?
Yeah, it shows that the ZIG, as we speak, it's now lost its place in the Zimbabwean economy. Even when it was launched, the people, even the economists and all people around in Zimbabwe, they said this is a non-starter because it was done previously by the previous government and central bank to introduce its any currency trying to address the economic challenge. But the most important, the most issue that is that must be addressed in Zimbabwe is not the issue of a new currency. The problem in Zimbabwe economy is the issue of legitimacy of the government. As long as we still have those government which is not illegitimate, even in the economy, even the currency that you might print, even if you call this currency backed by diamond or gold, it will not change anything. Because what is lacking in Zimbabwe is legitimacy. People, they want a government which is voted by the people, not the government which is put to the people by the captured electoral bodies assisted by the security sector. If you look in the countries we speak, there is rampant corruption in the government and other people who are working with the senior government officials. The country natural resources is owned by few individuals who belonged to the dynasty. If you look at the rule of law in Zimbabwe, you find out there's no rule of law. There are people who are above the law, and if you want to raise an issue or if you give an advice in terms of economic advice, like what Dr. Mugano tried to do, you will find out he was attacked from all corners by the regime. They don't want good ideas. So it's a disaster in Zimbabwe economically. The government of Emerson Mnangagwa failed to address the economic challenges facing the country. As you are aware, when he got into power, he promised to stabilize the economy, to create 5 million jobs, to build more than 2 million houses. But for now, from 2017 to 2024, we've got about 7 years, but nothing is on the table. No houses was built. The economy is on a free flow. The unemployment rate is going up. There's most of the companies, they are closing shops. You find out this year, Unilever, one of the biggest multinational companies in Zimbabwe for more than 5 decades, is moving out of Zimbabwe because some of the issues is because of the economic issues in Zimbabwe. In Zimbabwe, we don't have the consistent economic policies. The only consistent policy in Zimbabwe at the present moment is of looting resources by the few elites, whilst the majority are suffering. We are also in this year it's a drought in the country. You find out most of the people are not affording a few decent meal per day. You find out people in Mudzi, they can't afford a decent meal, even one. I read one of the articles where they were saying they have one decent meal per week. You find out most of the young children are treated malnutrition diseases because there's no food. The government promised that no one will go hungry, but it was just an empty promise. They spend a lot of money buying flowers and trees for one day summit, and they spend 1.6 million to give one person for destroying the citizen movement, instead of taking those monies to buy food for the poor people around the country who are dying because of hunger. So the government is failing to address social issues that is affecting the country. So you find out even the people in business, even the people in government, if you are aware, last week we had the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Finance bought 12 houses in South Africa. This shows that the chief executive of the Ministry of Finance, the ministry that is responsible for implementing economic policies of the country, does not have confidence in the economy he's running. That's why he bought houses in South Africa. Because if he has economic confidence, I think he should have bought houses in Zimbabwe or in the new town in Mount Abden. But instead, he bought in South Africa because, the economy that he's running is dead. Chino chakaora. That's why he bought houses in South Africa. So you found even the people in the system, in the government, they don't have confidence in their system. The only confidence that they have is that they have to do corruption, they have to loot the resources because they will not be prosecuted or arrested.
Yeah, thank you so much, our viewers and listeners. You have been listening to Change Radio, and today we just come to give you that few snippets of the things that are happening in Zimbabwe. Be with us again next week, same time. This is DJ Prof on Change Radio. Bye bye for now.
Thank you.
Corruption ichapera. We need to change. We want to grow. New Zimbabwe, new beginning. Change direction. Nepenyure vanhu. Ndokwatinodzidza. Nhau dzacho. Kuchiridzwa. Mimanzi yacho. DJ Bufu. Ndati wedzera mawazi. Vari kufamba vachitaura. Change direction. Vanoshambadza zvekunyeba vanenge vachiisa kufumurwa upenyu hwakanaka tese tinohuda nyika yedu yakazara uchine mukaka ngatipei